Hello. So recently I drew to a Grandmaster, and I'm just gonna do some game analysis of that. Um, so I'm playing black in this game. I have no idea how to switch the board around. Thank you, chess.com. And so I'm playing black. Excuse the board. And we go into a French defense. This is Simul, by the way, so 30 other boards the Grandmaster's playing, but we go into French. And naturally, the Grandmaster plays Knight c3, and because of course, knowing that I'm facing Grandmaster, I naturally decide to play the most tactical opening in chess, the Winnover. And actually, I found it quite interesting because he stopped at my board the longest here while trying to remember theory, but of course he found it. He played e5, which is mainline, and after basic Winnover theory, we get to this point in interest. And as you can see, considering that King f8 is the top move by the engine, you know this is going to be a good game. So I have a few options here. Some of the lines is like f5 here is a book move. There's g6, which is also a book move, or not in this, I guess. There's knight e7, and there's king f8. King f8 I've never played, don't know, and I was debating between f5 and knight e7. I went with knight e7, and the opening of the name says it all. This is absolute nightmare for both players. Nobody ever wants to play in this system. Usually people take queen takes g7 here, which I was actually expecting because the line is queen takes g7, rook g8, queen takes h7, c takes d4, and knight e2. That is the traditional line of this, but instead he kind of catches me off the guard with bishop to d3, and I haven't actually looked at this line ever because nobody's ever played it against me, so that was kind of a bit of a shock. But I play a good move, I guess. Knight, just developing the knight. Not the most accurate since it blocks future queen takes c3 ideas, but I didn't know really how to play. So then we go queen takes g7, rook g8, queen takes h7, and I take this pawn. He doesn't take back. If you take back now, it's fine, but it is like complicated after knight takes because there's all these kind of threats in the air, and you can't actually save this pawn. So, he avoided this line, and instead went knight e2, and I took the pawn. And careful, because he can't take. If you take, you lose because of this nice tactic, winning a rook. And I was kind of hoping he would fall for that. Nope. He played bishop f4, guarding this pawn. Can't really take because then I just get pinned and it becomes really awkward for myself. So I played d4, an inaccuracy according to the engine, or changes to excellent now, with the idea of just like holding this pawn center firm. He castled. And this is where it gets really complicated because my king's in the center, as you usually get in these types of systems. His king's castled. He has this pass pawn over here, which can be very big threat to me, but he can't really push it because it weakens his king. And so I just developed normally, hoping for queenside castling. he drops the bishop back, preventing any like annoying pins here, or like windmills perhaps. I long castle, giving up this f7 pawn, and he takes. And now I play rook df8 to try and just kick his queen around a bit, be as annoying as possible. And I kick it again because I want the queen to go to either the c1 square or the e4 square, and otherwise it'd just be a draw, and I'd take a draw. Queen to g4, I kick it again. Queen to f4, I kick it again. And then he goes to e4, which is a mistake. And this is what I wanted, because now I can play this very powerful knight to f5, attacking the bishop, threatening he can't really ever move the f-pawn because of knight e3, and his queen is kind of run out of squares. Rook b1, I take the bishop, he takes, and now I make a blunder. I'm terrible at these kind of positions. What I should do is just accept I'm a pawn down, and accept that he has 3 passed pawns over here. But that looks like a nightmare to defend, so I tried to continue an attack. And yeah, as you can see, it's +3 now. He finds the move, he takes, I play bishop here, he takes the e7 pawn, I take this pawn because I may as well get as much material before we trade. Rook here. In fact, I was actually calculating here, queen to a8 check, king d7, rook to f7 check, king to d6, and here queen to a7, and he actually has no checks, and this actually looked alright for me. I guess not according to the engine, but to me it looked alright when I was thinking about it. But I played queen to b8, and it's +10. It's +10. No, that's not a joke. It's actually +10. And the reason is he can just avoid a queen trade, come to e7, and then threaten all kind of sacks here. But he doesn't do that. In fact, he accepts the queen trade. It's still +4, but at least it's not +10. Rook to b3, attacking this c3 pawn. So I played e5, and I was hoping for what he played next. As you can see, I'm threatening this double attack of both the rooks, and he fell for it because he was moving quickly in the simul. But bishop to d5 just wins a rook or an exchange. I played it. It's still +2 because of these dangerous pawns and the fact that I have no pawns, but it's went from +10 to +2. That's a good improvement. King to a7, bishop to f3, and at this point there's around 3 to 4 people left in the simul. There's not many. Most people have lost already or drew. Well, a few people drew. One person even won, but I played rook to c8, guarding the c3 pawn. h4, rook to e8, just trying to like march this pawn, but it's +4. He plays this. I offer a trade of rooks. If he accepts, it's all of a sudden only +3. I thought this was a draw because of I can just snatch up this pawn perhaps in the future, but he didn't play that. Instead, he played rook to a4 check, king to b6, and a mistake. It's still +2, but we're getting better. I play a mistake as well. I had to have played either king c5 or rook b d8, but I play here. He plays rook e4, blockading the pawn. Now I play rook b d8, and he plays this mistake, and at this point I think it's a draw. because of this move, rook to d2. And all of a sudden, it's not even +1, it's just plus 0.7. He gives a check, I move my king, he plays bishop to e4, and of course I make a mistake here. This is a very difficult position. What I'm supposed to do is play rook to g8, and then after king to f3, check him, and if he goes like here, then I'm supposed to double up on the 7th rank. But instead, I play the immediate rook f8. And this falls for one of the craziest tactics I've seen. Rook to b3, right? King to c4, the only way to guard this pawn, and rook to b7, and I played rook f2, and the tactic is crazy. He gives a check, I move my king, and a careful thing, you cannot take this pawn. If you take this pawn, it's just a repetition. So instead, but he played bishop to d3 check. Wait, wrong. Why? Bishop to d3 check. And all of a sudden, I can't defend this pawn and it guards perpetual. So I have to move my king. He takes the pawn. I take. And h5, blundering away almost the entire advantage. I find the only move in the position. And it's just a draw from now. Rook d g1, king up, here, h6. At this point, I'm the last person in the simul, so he just pulls up a chair, and now we're basically in a blitz match. Also, at the beginning, there's no clock, so this game had already been going on for 5 hours, but now we were basically playing a blitz game. He pushed, I moved my king there. This is a mistake, he didn't find it. And from here, the only move in the position is to sack your rook. Because bishop takes h7, rook takes h7, king to c4. And this is, even though I'm 2 pawns down, this is the one case in chess where being 2 pawns down is not a loss. Because of this technique. Check. And I didn't actually know much about this technique. All I knew is a few things. Number 1, put your rook behind the king and start checking. Number 2, just preferably keep your king in the center instead of the edge. And number 3, do not allow white to sacrifice the a-pawn to get a Lucina position. So I played king to b6, c4, rook h1, rook to b5, and of course king to a6 is a draw still. Every single move is a draw. But king to a6 is much more difficult than king to c6, check, and if he went here, if he had gone here, then rook to c1 was my idea, and white cannot make progress. Rook to b4 is just, and after king here, it's just, white is losing this pawn, and there's nothing white can do about it. He played king to c3, I played rook a1, push the pawn, rook to a4, just a waiting move on the a-file, rook to h5, rook to a1, he pushed this pawn. Now, there's a very tricky line here. If I were to take, it's a draw, but only for one reason. After here, this is a stalemate trap. If he takes, it's stalemate. I did not find that, so instead I just did the simple king to c6. Of course, king to a6 still works, because after king to d4, rook to h1, checking from the side, and white can make no progress again. Rook to h5 though. King here, he checked again. He played king to b3, and I played rook to b1 check, and he gives up the pawn. He could have, I guess, gone here, and then after rook to a1, this rook's tied down to the pawn. This pawn's hanging. This pawn is an a pawn, so it can't really do anything. Um, and if he had gone king to a2 as well, then the only move here is rook to b8, but it's enough for a draw. Because push and rook a8 here, I win the pawn and my king's close to the pawn. But instead he just went king to a3, and I took the pawn and we agreed to a draw. So a really fascinating game. Thank you for watching.